Well, hey folks, and welcome back. Today I'm going to answer the question of why you should throw standstills, and I'm going to give you 6 reasons. Now, my buddy over at Patreon, Bill, asked this question about when should we be throwing standstills and why, and I thought it was a great question. And I'm going to give you 6 of them. 3 are going to have to do with the course, and 3 of them are going to have to do with this right here. And I think the last one might surprise you, or you'll go, I haven't thought about that. And so right now, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to pause this video to think about 6 reasons why you would want to throw a standstill, and then we'll come back. All right. Hopefully you've had a chance to think about maybe get your 6. You might find out more, and leave in the comments that you've got more that I didn't think of. But these are going to be things that are really going to make a difference when you understand how a standstill can help your game. Now, the first question is, when I say standstill, do you automatically think about a forehand or a backhand? I think most of us think about a backhand. And the reason why is we most naturally will throw standstill forehands when we get in trouble. And there's a little tip right in there. But I think what Bill was asking is, when should I throw a standstill backhand? And so that's what I'm going to address today. The forehand applies, where this is for both. But I think we more naturally understand and think about throwing standstills on forehands. Could be wrong, prove me wrong, let me know in the comments. But one of the reasons why we naturally gravitate toward throwing standstill forehands is because there's more flexibility to get out of trouble with a forehand. Just like my flick putts, we're able to extend out to get around things. We have one little power pocket to throw the backhands for the most part. Now, granted, we can come up and down some, but we're reaching across our body, and so we've got some limitations. Yes, we can pat and pin out, but we're a little more freer and more used to throwing out here, just like a baseball and stuff like that. And so I think we naturally gravitate towards standstill forehands more than standstill backhands. But there's a lot of benefit in throwing standstill backhands as well. Okay, we're going to start with the impact of the course and how it helps dictate whether or not you throw a standstill. But we're going to need to get on the course to do it. Okay, the first one should be pretty obvious to y'all. And as a matter of fact, Bill even said in the question, he said, besides terrain, why would you throw standstills? But we need to start with terrain because it's very important. And it usually leads to us needing to throw standstills. Okay, here's the scenario here. My disc is landed and I've marked it and it's right here. The problem is we're on an uphill slope and we've got loose rocks, leaves, sticks, roots, and some coal dust. You know, welcome to Inverness. Used to be a coal mine. So there's a lot going on here. First thing we want to do is clear off any loose, dead, unattached stuff that could trip us up. But then, if we were going to try to run up this hill, even if the roots and stuff weren't here, most of our energy and our thought processing is going to be about how we can get up the hill. And our energy is wanting to try to get up the hill, and it's kind of diving into the hill. Our weight and inertia is going into the hill when really we want to be throwing up the hill. But also our mind is having to make calculations just to be able to step. And am I going to be able to step in that spot right there without twisting my ankle? Too much to process, and it's not safe. Remember, we want to stay healthy and safe in all this. Whereas I can come up here and I can set my foot in here and get a good stable base so that I can be confident. Now, I'll lose some power, but I won't hurt myself, and hopefully I'll be able to throw a better shot. So now, right up into a safe zone that I can play on from there. So the very first thing that's going to force us into, it doesn't force us, but when we should be smart about throwing a standstill is when the terrain is going to make it unsafe for us to try to do a run-up. Oh, and this is why so many Scandinavian players like to throw standstills, because a lot of the year their ground is mushy with the snow and everything like that. They have to learn how to play with treacherous footing all over the place. And so they incorporate the standstill to mitigate a lot of that. So you can learn a lot from the Scandinavians. So that first example was really clear cut because, let's face it, it's got a steep slope, roots, all kinds of stuff right there. But here's one that in real world has gotten me and plenty of players so many times, and after the fact they go, I should have thrown a standstill. And what we've got here is this is hole number 1 at Inverness, and if you're playing the longs, you're trying to get over into this area, and a lot of times you have a shot that lands in this area. And even though this ground is nice and smooth, I mean, let's face it, I could, do all kinds of stuff right here. It's not the footing, but what it is it's the subtle rise, but also it's got a little tilt to it. And so what that means, let's get you back up just a little bit. And so what that means is you start to run up and you don't realize it, but you're trying to drive in and you go to throw, and the subtle shift over this way is carrying your body over here so that you end up pulling over to the left. Then you hit a tree, it picks up and rolls down the hill OB. And so what I've learned over the years of screwing this thing up is it's so much better to do a standstill, either a standstill backhand or a standstill forehand, so that I can mitigate some of that. I can feel the shift and I can mitigate it because I'm not getting surprised by the sudden weight shift as I'm running up. And so it's not just when the footing is bad, but when the footing has bad influence on your throw. Hope that helps. All right, on to number 2. Now, number 2 is almost as obvious as number 1, but it's when there's an obstacle inhibiting you from being able to do a full run up. You've got to mitigate some sort of obstacle. For instance, landed right behind the tree. Yes, I could still run up, but then what am I gonna do here? The standstill enables you to be able to get your body in positions that you couldn't run up to and get into to continue to throw. For instance, now I can stand still, patent pending, make sure your foot by the marker is your lead foot, so you got to get this back, the basket's that way. But now I can be out here and I don't have to worry about hitting the tree with my follow through, hopefully. But so now, patent pending, stand still, or I can simply step out like this. Imagine if I tried to run up for this. Let's see if I can do it. What do you think? I think that'd be awesome. I should do it in a tournament and see what people say. But yeah, standstills, when there are obstacles, things are inhibiting you, we naturally have to go to the standstill. Those are the first 2 easy ones. Let's move on from there. Now, before we get to the final thing that the course will throw at you, that you will have to throw a standstill, or you'll want to throw a standstill, let's talk about more the mental side of things. So I'm going to give you 3 mental things. All right? How are we doing so far? You should have gotten the first 2. They were pretty easy. This one deals more with the chaos in here that we want to tame. So now, you find yourself in a reasonably flat area here. There's not a lot that's going to want to trip you up. It does have a little gravel and stuff to it, but that's not what's really got you right now. You may be dealing with some things in your own game, or you just want to calm things down. Because let's face it, adding the run-up is adding more brain processing to your throw. So one of the things we want to do oftentimes is eliminate as many extra stuff as we can from our throws. Even though there's not a lot going on here, I am processing. I have to step, 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 and make sure I land in the right zone behind the marker. Don't kick the marker, don't kick the disc. There's stuff going on processing, this coming up and stepping behind the mark. And even though the ground's not bad, it's got a little bit going on to it. So we're spending energy trying to adjust all that as we step up to throw. So sometimes just doing a standstill allows us to calm our throw, calm our thoughts, and just focus on making the shot. Now we're going to lose a little power. Remember I said that. But if you know your throws and how far you can throw, you can adjust for that. Maybe club up one more, get a little faster disc, or just give it a little bit more to it. But now we're just simply eliminating some of the extra mental processing and body movements. So now we can just set up, take a breath, calm down. I'm solid, I'm set up, and now I can just simply throw and release. So sometimes it's not about the terrain or the course making you throw a standstill. Sometimes it's the better thing to do to calm yourself down. Hope that makes sense. Okay, the fourth reason is oftentimes people will not think about this when they're on a Teepad because they think, I've got a big runway. Why do I have to worry about footing? I don't have to worry about footing, so of course, if I've got a runway, I need to take the whole runway. Well, what happens when you have a run-up? Well, all kinds of stuff is going on, just like before, but we're adding more complexity to our timing and our throw. And sometimes we just want to calm the body down. We want to eliminate as many things as possible so that we can just focus on hitting our gap, hitting our line. And so we decide, you know, I don't need to throw. This hole is only 150 feet, 200 feet, name your distance. I don't need to kill it. Or even if it's a par 4, I could say, I need to hit that gap and I need to hit that spot more than I need to hit all the power. And so we go, okay, I'm going to calm things down. And so I'm going to step up instead of just trying to come running up, hit my X step, do everything, brace, you know, fill in the blank of all that stuff. We go, I'm going to calm the body down. I'm just going to be me and that gap out there. And if you use my hoop system, it's like you figure out where the hoop is, and now you just settle down. You're calming down your body, and it's just simply a throw. It's a weight transfer and a throw. So I'm here, do a little rock, a little lean back, and I drive it right down the middle. Don't mind the sound of that tree being hit. That was CGI, that was somebody else, that wasn't me. But what happens is sometimes you just need to calm yourself down. Calm it and get it to the bare minimum of what you need to do. You eliminate all the other stuff so that it can just be you, the disc, and a simple throw. And you'll be amazed at how many times when you're feeling all kind of anxious or whatever, if you will just change your rhythm by slowing down, it will help change everything. And so sometimes just throwing a standstill can be the thing that kickstarts you in the better direction than where you were going. And so I'm a firm believer in when things are hectic, when chaos is coming in, let's try to calm it down. And so standstills are a great way to kind of reset the brain and hopefully give you a little bit more accuracy. So another great reason why you might want to throw standstills is for repair. Sometimes our swing, our timing gets out of whack. And so we start to try to fix some things. But let's face it, throwing is a complex set of moves. There's a whole bunch of links in the chain that you need to get right to have a good disc throw and good timing. And so if you're having trouble, sometimes the best thing you can do is remove links from the chain. It ties into the other things. Notice how they're all building together. But this is one thing that I don't think people do enough of is if your timing's off, you may want to say, hey, some of it may do with my footing. As a matter of fact, I just watched a practice round on Joe Mez where Jeremy was talking about his timing's a little bit off. And Yuli immediately said, yeah, you're stepping too early. And then he said, or if you're doing this, you're stepping too late. Your step, your X step, everything from the hips down affects your throw. And so if you're having problems, maybe the first thing you want to do is eliminate some of that so that you can get down to the timing of just a simple throw. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot more to look at if you're going to film yourself with a run-up. There's a lot going on versus here. And so I'm a firm believer in let's do some things that help tell the body what's the right thing to do. Practicing things that say yes and helping the body know no to those other things. And so the repair is I'm just simply, okay, now it's just me here and I'm just working on the reach back and the follow through, getting the weight shift, and I'm just simply honing in these shots. And so I play standstills until it starts to feel consistent and right. And then I can add, maybe I just start adding just a simple single step. And then once I start getting that back drilled in, I can go to the X step. But the standstill is such a great repair tool that we're not taking advantage of. And I think if you'll do it, and even film yourself, the difference between you running up and doing a standstill, and see if there are any form differences that happen there. That might be a clue of some of the things that are going on. But being able to just calm your body, calm your mind, step up, just reach back and make the shot. All right, now the final one. How you doing so far? That's 5. Have you gotten them? You probably got some extras that I totally blew, but hey, you get what you pay for here. All right, let's jump into the final one. It's the final countdown. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get demonetized. I should be demonetized for that kind of singing. All right, let's go to number 6. Let's go to the last one, and this is one that may surprise some people. Hopefully, it'll give you a little bit of an aha moment, or some of y'all are smarter than me, you already knew this, and you have 12 more things I totally blew off. But this final one is to take advantage of Teepad geometry. What do I mean by that? Well, here we are at hole number 10 at Inverness, and we've got this lovely Teepad. Let's face it, the Teepads out at Inverness are beautiful. And so here's a shot down here, and we've got a basket tucked into the trees over to the right here. Well, look at this beautiful thing here. Well, taking advantage of Teepad geometry usually means finding the best angle to throw the shot. Well, if I'm throwing a backhand, I could do over here. I've got more space. I don't have to worry about that tree. The problem is this tree here doesn't really want you to throw that shot. So most people throw a forehand, but what they do is they come up, and this tree is now in play. You can actually see the nicks on it. I've had my buddy, I'm not gonna name, Chris, hit the tree, land here, say, never mind, I didn't mean to do it, hit it again and throw even farther back. This tree comes into play. But we can take advantage of it because naturally we want to swing out here. Remember, our brain is here, our eyes are here, but we're releasing out here. What if we come out here, get to the end of the pad, and now I'm throwing through this gap? My sight is now where the tree is, but my arm's right here in the middle of the gap. So as long as I throw a nice straight throw, I'm gonna get right through the gap. It's a much freer throw once you kind of wrap your mind around it. But it's not just here. There's a shot at George Ward where it's actually better, the way the hole shapes to go down the hill, it's actually better to stand on the very back of the Teepad, because remember, you can use the entire Teepad. But to get the best angle for one of the shots, standing on the back corner of the Teepad is the best spot. And what you want to do is do a standstill, but you also want to make sure you lift your left foot as you throw so that only your plant foot, your lead foot, is touching the Teepad. So I'm in a standstill, and I'm going to throw down the hill just so I don't throw this into the trees. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand still, and I'm going to make sure I lift before I throw. But I'm able to take advantage of a gap in a shot that I couldn't run up to. I literally have to stand on one point and then use a little athleticism, a little body control to only be standing on that one point to gain better access to the hole. So that last point, taking advantage of being able to stand on one foot in one spot can really help you get out of some tight spots, but also hopefully get you in some good spots. So there you go, folks. Listen, it's not a matter of you have to stand still, but knowing when sometimes a standstill is more beneficial to you, both because of the way the course is set up, or even maybe the way your brain is going. I think it can be really helpful to start thinking about not always playing the same shots the same way all the time. Listen, just knowing that you can move around the Teepad and use that Teepad to your advantage can really help you save some strokes, especially on those tricky holes that keep getting you. So there you go. I hope that's helpful. I hope this was entertaining enough. If so, please like and subscribe. I love all that. Check out my Patreon channel where you can ask questions like Bill did. And I hope to see you out on the course.